Welcome to Candid Conversation number 437. 2 days ago, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. It's been all over the news. And it's sad when somebody like that dies. I grew up in the Los Angeles area. I was in that area when Kobe and Shaq were playing with the Lakers and winning the championships. So, perhaps it affected, or I was more acquainted with him than most people, I should say. Just being in that area, and a lot of talk of the Lakers when they're doing well. And Kobe, I saw him play a couple games. But what's sad, and it's, again, like I say, it's sad that he died early in life with that crash. I don't mean any disrespect, but at the same time, what saddens me more is people's reactions to it. That just a couple hours after it happened, a whole group of people is gathered at the Staples Center in Los Angeles where he played, and they said, "Thank you, Kobe," and they had this chant going, "Thank you, Kobe, thank you, Kobe." And then just to see different people crying, and then they have a lot of people gathering at the Staples Center even the next day, just there paying their respects to him. And I'm sure that they will plan some kind of funeral or memorial service, however they do it, and there will be such a huge crowd there. When Michael Jackson died, they gave out the tickets to, it was, I don't know, I don't remember exactly where it was, if it was at Dodger Stadium or Staples Center, but they gave out tickets to, I think it was at Dodger Stadium, and they had some kind of random drawing where you could get the tickets to see him, and 1 million people signed up for that. And to me, it saddens me, because when you look at Scripture in the Old Testament, you'll see them making idols, graven images, the works of their hands, and they bow down to them, or they put their children in the hands of Moloch. They have all this idol worship. The first 2 commandments God gives in the Bible is, of the 10 commandments, the first 2 commandments that he gives of the 10 in Exodus 20 is, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image." And today, people say, "Oh yeah, we're not like those people back there. We don't do that stuff. We're much more sophisticated. We won't make an idol." And I think it's either Isaiah or Jeremiah talks about how stupid Israel is, that they would take a piece of wood and then they would bake some bread with it in the stove, and then they would take that same wood and fashion it into an idol and bow down to it. Why would you bow down to something that you made? And it's so stupid. But yet here, the exact same thing is happening today. Writer of Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. We're doing exactly today with our celebrities what they were doing back then. In fact, that show about with singers getting on there has been on for, I don't know, 15, 20 years now. It's actually called American Idol. They're bowing down to these. They're the stars, worshiping the host of heaven, bowing down to stars. They're idols, bowing down to these idols. And that's what they're doing with Kobe Bryant. Now that he died, you have all these people mourning, and they keep talking about it, and they're chanting his name, and they're coming to pay tribute to him. And then when the funeral or memorial service comes, there's going to be all kinds of people there. I even heard that they're investigating the crash to see what went wrong, and it could take them up to a year to investigate this. A year. And if that's not idol worship, I don't know what it is. Look at David's attitude when his son died. When God said that he's going to kill his son for the adultery and the murder that he did, David went into mourning and over his son when he got sick. He went into mourning over it. And then when he died, David, the people thought, oh no, we don't want to tell the king that he's dead, because now he's really going to be sorrowful. But when the baby died, he said, okay, mourning's over. I'm like, oh, I can't believe it. You were mourning before. Why are you now? We told you he's dead. Why are you not sad about that? Well, he was sad. But he said, if I mourn and show the Lord how much I love the baby, perhaps the Lord, in his mercy, will change his mind and bring him back from the dead, or not make sure that he doesn't die. But now that he's dead, he's not going to come back to me. I will go to him, but he's not going to come back to me. I think that's 2 Samuel 23. So he says, okay, it's over, and I move on. David has the proper perspective there. He loves his son. There's a death sentence upon him, so he doesn't want him to die. So he shows God how serious he is, that he doesn't want him to die. But once he's dead, he moves on. But yet, what do? We don't have the proper perspective, looking at it from God's perspective. We're bowing down to this idol, this Kobe Bryant celebrity. And not just him, there are all kinds of other celebrities the same thing happens to. And then when he dies, we mourn and grieve, and we just so sad about him. Which, again, I understand he died early, and it is sad that he died. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's just the lengths that people go to is what saddens me. To see them at the Staples Center chanting, "Thank you, Kobe." The guy's dead. Nothing you can do about it now. But because he's your idol that you worship, you've got to mourn and grieve. These celebrities, he's paid millions of dollars. He was paid millions of dollars, probably over $100 million in his career, I'm sure. He might have even had $1 billion when you consider all the endorsements and everything. For what? Because he genetically was a tall guy, and that he had good talent, and then he practiced a whole lot and worked really hard at putting a basketball into a hoop. And you're going to pay him all this money. Right now, there are millions of people going to work right now, like I am right now, to do a job that is far more important than putting a basketball in a hoop. We're not playing a child's game. We're doing things that really affect the world, the economy, keep society moving along. And we get paid a lot less, and no one even knows who we are. Very few people are going to mourn our deaths. They're certainly not going to have 1 million people trying to attend our funeral or chanting in the streets, "Thank you," whoever, insert your name there. They're not going to do that stuff. I think of here in Alabama, college football is everything. It's a religion. College football is bigger than God here. It's called the Bible Belt, but in truth, they worship their football teams more than they worship God. And I think of all the money that is put into that, even in high schools. The high school football gets all kinds of money put into it. But you look at the high school special ed teachers, they probably have to take second jobs to survive. I know a lot of them learn they get a Class B license to be able to drive a bus so they can drive their kids, the special ed kids, to go to work. Learn menial tasks like bagging groceries or sorting mail. They get jobs like that to help them be productive in society. They're doing some really good work there, and they can't even hire somebody to drive the bus for them. But yet the football team, we got bus drivers. We got a separate bus driver paid. The high school football coach doesn't drive the bus. Usually, it's rare that happens. It's usually a bus driver who's dedicated to that, driving that bus. It just goes to show you that the priorities in America are all messed up. That we celebrate the wrong people. We idolize these sports figures, the movie stars, these people, and we pay them all kinds of money. They get fame, they get fortune, they get power, and the regular Joes aren't like that. Which you shouldn't be worshiping anybody except God. He's the only one worthy of worship. But it's just sad that people, and it's the subtlety of the devil that's fooled people into thinking they're okay. That they would look at the Old Testament people and say, oh yeah, they sure were stupid back then. They were really pagan and heathen. That they would take a piece of wood, bake some bread with it, and then carve an idol out of it and worship it. Oh, that's pretty dumb. But yet here we are, one of our superstars, a star, host of heaven, Kobe Bryant dies, and all of a sudden we're worshiping him. Oh, it's so sad. Oh, we just mourn the death of the guy. I can understand his immediate family. He had 3 daughters that he left behind and a wife. I can understand them being grieving and mourning over it. But it's ridiculous for me to mourn over it. I mean, certainly I'm sad that it happened. Again, I don't mean any disrespect, but I don't know the guy. I saw him on television. I saw him play basketball, but he doesn't support my family. He doesn't give me any money. I never talked to him on the phone. I've never met him in person. I don't have any conversations with the guy. He doesn't help me in any way. And that's the case for millions of people who have decided to pay tribute to him. It just shows you that the hypocrisy of our society, that they would say that, oh, we're not like those pagans back there in the Old Testament, and yet we have our stars, our idols that we bow down to and worship. They make statues of Kobe Bryant. They put him on the big screen. In the book of Numbers, God told Israel that when they go into the promised land, to destroy the pictures of the Canaanites. The Amish take that literally and say a picture is an idol, and so we shouldn't take pictures of ourselves. I'm sure that mentality of the Amish, you apply that to what's going on with Kobe Bryant. It's obvious from a Christian perspective that what's going on with Kobe is idol worship. They put stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They'll probably put his on there too. I heard he won an Oscar for something, so they'll probably put his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame if it's not there already now. And all these people will go to it, put candles on it, pray over there, where the star is. They'll go to his funeral. We make a star out of him. We make him an idol. We bow down to him, at least in our minds, by paying millions of dollars to him with all the endorsements and the salary he gets, paying all kinds of money to go to these basketball games. And we bow down to him, in our minds at least. Millions of people mourning over the death of our idol, Kobe Bryant. And I don't mean to pick on him, like I said, Michael Jackson, they did the exact same thing. 1 million people in LA trying to get into the Dodger Stadium for the funeral or memorial service they had for him. But I've noticed over time how it's just gotten worse and worse, especially when it comes to death. Because our society, as it says in Romans 1, when they become vain, that everybody knows of God, the invisible things of him are clearly seen by those that he has made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that we are without excuse. But instead of recognizing and worshiping God, we cast him aside. We become vain in our imaginations, and our foolish heart is darkened. And we end up, as it says, serving the creature more than the Creator. And that is exactly what is happening with Kobe Bryant. He is a creature made by God, no better than any other creature. Well, I should say, no better than any other human made by God. Humans are on a higher level than animals. There are over 7 billion of us in the world. And Kobe Bryant was fearfully and wonderfully made, just like every single one of the 7 billion people in the world were fearfully and wonderfully made. No difference between any of them in terms of God's love and his creation of those people. And yet, Kobe is worshipped, while the special ed teacher who helps these kids function in society, be able to do jobs, gets paid very little, has to even drive her own bus because we won't get a bus driver to drive them around. If anybody needs a bus driver, it's a special ed, because then they need to look after the kids. They need the kids. Special ed kids need more attention than the regular kids because of their mental conditions. And yet the teacher has to be distracted from taking care of them, driving her own bus, because we won't give any money for that. But yet a football player or basketball player, they're worshipped. They get millions of dollars. These contracts now are absolutely ridiculous. Get 30 or 40 million a year, 50 million. I think Anthony Davis, who is with the Lakers, he was just offered a contract. They have salary caps, and I don't know how it all works, but he was offered a contract, extended contract, to play with the Lakers. It was something like, don't quote me on this, but something like 35 million a year for 4 years, or maybe it was 40 million a year. It was some ridiculous amount, and he turned it down because he knew that when the end of the year came, there'd be more money in the salary cap, and he would get maybe 40 million instead of 35 a year, or 45 million instead of 40 a year. And they'll give it to him. They'll give him all this money. And all he does is put a basketball in a hoop and try to keep other people from doing the same. But he gets offered 35 million a year. Oh no, that's not good enough. And we'll up it to 40 million. What? He can't survive on 35 million a year with all his endorsements and everything? That's not enough money for him to survive on. But how much does the special ed teacher get? I don't know, 30, 40,000 a year maybe. I don't know what they get paid. But I guarantee you it's a lot less. They're paying them 40,000, let's say. Reasonable guess. The basketball player is getting paid 40 million. That's a whole lot more than 40,000. And he's complaining and turning down contracts, whereas the special ed teacher has to take what they give her because they won't give her anything. As she turns it down, she gets nothing. They're not going to come back and renegotiate and say, wow, I see the value that you're adding to society, to helping these kids function in society, so we're going to give you $5,000 extra a year. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, here's what we offer. If you don't like it, we're not going to hire you, because we'll just hire somebody else. All it shows, these celebrities, the movie stars, TV stars, the models, the sports stars, they are our idols. They are our gods. We worship them. We serve the creature instead of the creator. We bow down to sports stars and serve them. They are our gods. We make graven images of them. They're put on cards, bobbleheads, posters, all kinds of things. They're put on, of course, all splattered all over the television. ESPN, when that first came out, they showed a lot of live sports. Now you turn it over there, they still show that, but you turn it over there, for the most part, they're talking. So not only do they show the sports stars, they talk about the sports stars. Football, I used to work out at work, and they had a little ESPN. The TV would be on ESPN when I go there during lunch, go to work out at the gym. And all they do is talking about either the upcoming game or the game that just happened. It could be April. Football, professional football, goes from September to into January, early February. April, clearly the off season, and they'd be talking about football. It's been 3 months since the season ended. It's another 5 months. Did I do that right? Math? Yeah, 5 months until the season begins. And yet we're going to talk about it. That's because they are our idols. We worship them. We talk about them year round. But you ask somebody that went to church, what was the message about, the sermon about? You ask them an hour after they get out of church, they probably can't even tell you 1 point from the sermon. You know, he had 3 points. What was one of the 3 points? They probably can't tell you an hour afterward. God told Israel that you need to meditate in the law of God. Teach it to your children so that they will know God's law. Are we doing that today? No, we don't talk about it. We do talk about the Bible. It's just for a little bit, taken out of context on Sunday by a pastor, and it's quickly forgotten because we don't care about it. But yet, the game that played the day before on Saturday, that's the conversation in church. They're not talking afterward in church about, oh, the sermon was on John 11, Lazarus being raised from the dead. Wasn't that wonderful? And oh, the unbelief of Israel during that time. They mourned over his death when they didn't realize the resurrection power of God. No one's going to do that. They're going to be talking about, oh, did you see the game yesterday? Oh, did you see in the third quarter that catch that so-and-so made? That was an unbelievable catch. We don't talk about the things of God. We talk about sports. We talk about our idols, our stars. And so when I first heard about Kobe Bryant dying, it was shocking because he was young. You wouldn't expect it. And it was sad. Again, I'm not disrespecting him. It's sad when anybody dies like that. But especially, unexpected like that. He leaves behind a wife and 3 daughters. That one of his daughters died. So it's a sad thing. But right away, right after that, you see them chanting, "Thank you, Kobe," at the Staples Center. And it saddened my heart to see that they are worshiping him. He's dead. There's no more basketball that he's going to do. In fact, he retired a few years ago. There wasn't anything more he's going to contribute to that sport. But yet we talk about him. We're going to spend a whole year investigating the crash. All the details of it. Wasting all this time. You can't bring him back from the dead. But because he is our idol, he's our star, and we bow down and worship him, we have to investigate it. And we have to chant and mourn and grieve for our idol, for our star. We bow down to our God, Kobe Bryant. We make graven images to him and bow down to him since he's now dead. Clearly, worshiping the creature more than the Creator who is blessed forever. The Creator, look at all the wonderful things he's done for us, the Lord, giving us life. Then when we squander it through our sin, he sent his Son to die for us. And all we have to do to get the gift of eternal life is to trust in Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection as atonement for our sin. And yet, we don't do it. We thumb our noses at God. But yet when somebody comes along and is real good at putting a basketball through a hoop, we bow down to him and worship him. Serving the creature more than the Creator. Thanks for watching.